What do the meditation gurus, the nature lovers, the therapists, and the Bible all have in common? They teach us how to slow down and connect with our breath. Meditation, breathing is at the center, taking slow inhales and slow exhales. The nature lovers, they go out and connect with the trees and breathe in the crisp air and feel one with nature. Therapists remind us to breathe in times of anxiety or panic or distress. And even the Bible has various verses on the importance of breathing. Like Job 33:4, the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Or Psalm 150 verse 6, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Or Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. And with that word be still meaning to let go or to cause yourself to let go. And if you haven't realized, the best way to let go of the tension that you have is by breathing. You see, although breathing is normal and natural and always happening, a lot of us have a disconnect with our breath. And many of us are so out of touch with how to actually breathe in a way that can help us feel better and live longer and increase our performance and increase our mental health as well. So in today's video, let's discuss the breath. I'm Ely, I'm a strength coach for Cyclists. Let's dive in. You're handsome. Good morning to you.
Good morning, pineapple.
So, what is breathing and why is it important? Well, breathing is the act of taking in air, which is made up of nitrogen, oxygen, and a bunch of other elements, inhaling it through the trachea, into the lungs, into the bronchioles, diffusing into the blood and being delivered to a bunch of organs and organelles and muscles and cells that require oxygen to function. Right after that, those cells use that oxygen, create carbon dioxide as waste, which again gets back diffused into the blood, taken through the heart to the lungs, and exhaled as carbon dioxide. That's breathing. Most of the time, breathing is an automatic mechanism that is undertaken by something in our hindbrain called the medulla oblongata. And you have to try saying that with me. Medulla oblongata. It's such a fun word. Medulla oblongata. And it's part of the back of your brain here where the brain and the spinal cord connect. It not only controls your breathing, but also controls a few other things like your heart rate, blood pressure, and swallowing and sneezing, automatic processes. So most of the time you can go about your day without having to actively will yourself to breathe. You're just doing it naturally. Now, sometimes there are certain stressors that disrupt this breathing pattern, and your breathing may become much more shallow in the chest or up in the neck or out of control or sporadic. And a lot of the time our body's response to these stressors, which causes these kinds of breathing and increased heart rate and stuff like that, is actually a good thing. It's designed to activate your sympathetic nervous system, to pump out the adrenaline, to get you doing what you need to do. There's the classic example of, you've met a bear, roar, and the bear comes and you now have to run, or you have to fight, or you have to stay still, whatever. But in a more realistic example, let's say you're on the bike and you're about to prepare for a sprint, or a car's coming out of nowhere and you have to sprint away, or whatever. Adrenaline pumps up, heart rate shoots up, breathing goes up, you're able to produce maximum power for that little sprint to save your life or to hit a PR, who knows? And that stressor response actually helps you perform better. Now, here's the deal. We aren't designed to maintain that level of stress the whole day. We're not designed for our bodies to be in fight or flight mode all day long. We need to recover between stressors. Otherwise, we are overtaxing the sympathetic nervous system. So have some sympathy. Anyways.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So when we take time to consciously breathe and control our breath and create slow 360-degree breathing, which we'll talk about in a little bit, we're actually able to initiate a vagus nerve response close to that back of the brain there, and tell the medulla oblongata, yo, chill. Just relax and inhibit overbreathing. And that's because we need to recover between stressors. What happens when stress happens? So you're at homeostasis here, okay? Stress happens, you've reacted to a stressor or experienced a stressor. And a stressor can be anything. It can be a workout. It can be a stressful event at work. It can be you've fallen. I've fallen. These are stressors. So you fall and there's involution that happens. Now your body is disrupted from its homeostasis. But after involution, you need to recover in order to get back to homeostasis. Okay, so we're coming back to where we were. And actually, the faster you recover and the more time and more appropriate that stress or stimulus is, you can actually super compensate and come back a little bit stronger than your homeostasis, which is the perfect time to stress the system again, because now you've adapted to that stressor. This is a lot about periodization. It applies to everyday life as well. So by being able to control your recovery through your breath, you can actually recover faster and cause your performance to increase. And there's a ton of other physiological and psychological benefits as well. So for example, decrease in your blood pressure, a decrease in your resting heart rate, and an increase in your heart rate variability, an increase in your VO2 max, cardiac output, and stroke volume, an increase in the amount of oxygen that your lungs can actually take in and use per minute. Pretty cool. One of my favorites, an increase in longevity, and there's tons of studies done on this, even in cancer patients who took the time to breathe actually had an increase in longevity compared to those who didn't. Increase in mental health and self-awareness and emotional health and a lot more. So here's the kicker. My favorite part about breathing is it can be done short term and you experience those benefits, and it can also be done long term to experience the benefits. You know, normally in the fitness industry, you're not going to lose weight if you eat one healthy meal. You're not going to see a huge increase in your VO2 max or your FTP or whatever with one workout. But with breathing, you can experience a lot of those benefits immediately after. Decreased heart rate, increased mental health, chillness, decreased blood pressure. You get the point. Have I convinced you yet? Because I really hope so. Now, as cyclists, we can be at a little bit of a disadvantage because when we're on the bike, we're stuck in certain postures that can actually inhibit exhalation, decrease our potential for breaths. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say I am on my bike in the drops. All right, here I am pedaling. I'm in the drops, getting harder, I'm pushing really hard. Automatically, you'll notice a few things. Number one, my shoulders are tense. My neck is tense. Number two, does this position remind you of anything? Perhaps it reminds you of high school track and field after like a 100-meter sprint or something. That's because that position is fantastic for getting in air, but it can actually limit exhalation. And that's just because of the postures involved. And the nature of this position causes us to tense our shoulders and round them and tense the neck and resort to either chest breathing automatically is shallow or belly breathing. And belly breathing, although it sounds like a good thing, is not getting the full extent of breath and reaching the 100% potential. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And I find that it sounds like a pretty cool thing. So when should I breathe? All the time. But when should you actually practice these breathing exercises? Well, my favorite times are before a strength training workout, and there's a few reasons for it. Number one, it helps you to kind of let go of the stressors of the day and come in and prepare mentally and physically for your session. The breath work also helps to increase my performance, get more oxygen in, and even just connecting to how I'm feeling in that day. And that's where self-awareness comes into play. Before we get into the exercises themselves, I want to chat about self-awareness. If there is anything that I learned in my years in Bachelor's of Fine Arts for acting, it's right, I did go to acting school. I am an actor. No, not anymore. But anyways, if there's anything I learned, it's that breathing is hard. It's not easy. And it's not hard in the traditional sense that I'm like putting hundreds of pounds on my back and squatting or deadlifting. It's not hard in that sense. In that sense, physically, it can be pretty easy. But the discomfort that you may feel is unlike anything, because it forces you to be self-aware, to be in tune with how your body and your mind is feeling at that moment. You see, when you breathe, you take the time to connect with the present moment, and that causes you to become self-aware of your body and its movements and feelings in space, perhaps external perception, or even how you're feeling internally. You may notice, oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, this is weird. This feels weird. What is going on here? Or emotionally, you may notice, I don't know why I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling angry or frustrated. And it forces you to become self-aware. And self-awareness in itself is a fantastic thing to have, but it's not easy. But rest assured, the more self-awareness that you can develop, the greater you will be as not just an athlete, not just a cyclist, but also a human being. There's a certain level of self-awareness that must come into anything. If we are ever to change our bad habits, our bad patterns, we need to become self-aware self-aware of them first, accept them, and then work on changing them. There's a technique called the Alexander technique. And this technique is how to change habits, especially bad habits. So for example, maybe one of your habits is tense shoulders. The first step to changing a habit is recognizing and becoming aware of that habit in the first place. And that's where self-awareness comes in. When I'm aware that I'm tensing my shoulders, now I can do something about it. If I'm not aware, if I'm ignorant of it, I can't do anything about it. And that's where breathing and self-awareness comes into play. Second step, if you're interested, you can skip this part if you're not. The second step is accepting. Okay, I've accepted that my shoulders are tense. I'm not going to judge myself for it. Third step is redirecting this energy into something else. So instead of keeping my shoulders tense, I'm going to redirect it to bring my shoulders up, back, and down, and relaxing them. That's the Alexander technique. And you know what? There's actually some performance benefits to developing self-awareness as well. Way before we had heart rate monitors and power meters, there's RPE, rate of perceived exertion. And you just had to guess how hard you were working based on how your body was feeling and how hard it was telling you it was working. Knowing you're pushing hard and feeling that is an incredible skill to have because it allows you to pace yourself. And knowing the feelings and sensations that your body is feeling on certain days allows you to be aware of what's going on and make changes or adjustments if needed. It also allows you to identify and accept emotions that are coming up that may be affecting how you're feeling physically. So for example, the frustration or anger of cars driving really close to you may cause you to get really tense, may cause your heart rate to go up, may cause your performance to suffer because your body is just feeling tense overall. Understanding why that's happening is a good thing because it may allow you to control your breathing and bring it back down and relax a little bit. Understanding the emotion of embarrassment when you get dropped in a group ride. Understanding the joy when you hit a new PR. All of these things are emotions that come up that is good to be self-aware about. I know I went a little bit of a tangent about self-awareness, so apologies. Let's get into the exercises. This is the basic supine breath. To get started with this, you're going to be lying down on your back, perform a little bit of a pelvic tilt, doesn't have to be much, but a pelvic tilt, you're basically getting your lower back to touch the floor as you're lying flat on the ground. Rest your hands on your belly. Now from here, I want you to breathe in deeply to the count of 5. And the goal here is to expand your diaphragm, keeping your ribs low and tucked in, but expanding them laterally, meaning away from your body to the side. Hold for 3 seconds and release for about 8 to 10 seconds, fully emptying all the air out. Repeat for 5 to 8 breaths. Exercise number 2 is actually really close to this. We're just basically gonna do it standing and it's called a 360-degree breath. This exercise is really gonna help us to understand and help us to breathe in through the ribs, open up the rib cage, open up the diaphragm, and get more oxygen in, which will increase performance, not only in this strength session, but on the bike as well. Obviously, more oxygen is gonna help you recover faster. So take those nice hands of yours and put them right underneath, kind of where that armpit, where you feel that teres major, and wrap it around right underneath your chest where the ribs are inserting, and on the other side as well. So you should feel the ribs within your fingers. Now from here, what you're gonna do, planting the feet, you're gonna take a deep breath. As you inhale, I want you to open up the ribs and feel your hands opening them up. So, and exhale. So you should be feeling the rib cage opening, and that's what the hands are there to help us understand where that rib cage is and how it moves and functions as you inhale. Feel it open up, let air into there. Imagine the air going into the rib cage. And exhale. And finally, for the Sphinx breath, which we're going to be doing lying prone. Now, you have a few options. The more advanced they come, the higher we'll be going up the levels. But the reason that you have these options is that because a lot of us cyclists lack the mobility in the spine and thoracic mobility to be able to do these properly. And so start at level 1, don't feel shy about that, and work your way up the more you're feeling comfortable with this. So here you're going to lie down in this exercise with your head facing the floor, your belly on the floor, and your hands by your side, palms facing up. From here, you're going to take a deep breath, just as we've been doing, expanding, and imagine in your mind, imagine the air entering down into the belly, into the ribs, into the pelvic floor area, filling that area, and then coming back out. In through the nose, counting for about 5 seconds, hold and out through the mouth for about 5 to 10 seconds. The structure of breathing is going to be the same whether we're in any posture, any level, it's going to be the same. Level 2, you're going to rest your hands on top of you, right in front of your head, and bring your head down. Shoulders back and down, keeping the shoulder blades relaxed. From here, you're going to do the exact same. 5 seconds in, filling the ribs, the pelvic floor, everything there. Hold, and 8 seconds out. For number 3, posture number 3, you're going to do it with stacked fists. Again, shoulders back and down, shoulder blades relaxed. And for posture number 4, you can do it with your hands pushing into the floor, lifting the upper body up with the thoracic and cervical spine there. Nice, that's a lot of exercises. Now, I like to do them before my workouts. You can also do them after your workouts, which can help you kind of kickstart the recovery process and get it back into your day, which is fantastic. And I just kind of quickly want to talk about doing them on your rides as well. So all of these translate to on the bike. Remember, it helps you kickstart the recovery process and helps you recover between your intervals. The more you recover between the intervals, the better you'll perform on the next interval. So here's a video of me actually doing this. I just completed a 7-second sprint, and it was a hard sprint, max effort, max power, max cadence, and I'm coming in, my heart rate shut up. Of course, that's normal. I just sprinted. Now what I'm going to do, and you'll notice here, is take slow deep breaths in and slow exhales out, longer than my inhales. And you'll notice my heart rate goes down, drops, 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 drops as I'm doing this. And I'm actually preparing myself, kickstarting that recovery for the next interval as I bring my heart rate below 120. And you can do that also while you're in the middle of a set, or let's say you're pushing tempo. You can do this kind of crocodile breathing where you keep your heart rate low in order to minimize how much fatigue you're getting and maximize the oxygen coming into your muscles and maximize your performance. So your body is not working as hard to do the exact same amount of effort. All right, that's breathing. I hope that was helpful. I know it was a lot, but it's important. It can really help you, not just as an athlete, but also just as a human being. So if there's one thing I want you to remember, go and breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, and you're handsome. Remember that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want to see anything else coming up in the future. If you have any suggestions for videos, and if you want any questions answered, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram and you can get a free strength training assessment. And I hope to catch you next time on another video.